I see. So, reactivity, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, so what you're gonna do is don't get in his way. You're gonna scoot your prong collar to the top of his neck,
Sit.
where it's just behind the ears, under the jaw, okay? And you have your leash just as you have it, and you're gonna be as relaxed as possible, just like that, okay? So when you get into your dog's way like that, you're more likely to get bit, okay? I had this happen to a client actually previously, because the trainers told them, welcome to Oz, told them to do that, right?
Hey, sit.
So, and then they eventually got bit because they're blocking the dog. And what happens is the dog gets frustrated because they can't get to the target. Okay, so the dog's like, get out of my way. I'm trying to reach that.
Yeah.
And or we get what's called redirected aggression. Okay, redirected aggression is a dog so frustrated and overloaded with stress and agitation that they go for the nearest thing. Typically, it's the leash. You'll see them go upwards, right? Every now and then they'll redirect towards the handler. That's a bit more rare, but if you're trying to body block, you're more likely to be the victim of a redirected bite there. Okay, so it's not making the dog aggressive to you. The dog's just frustrated. So you keep relaxed. Okay, keep relaxed.
Right.
So right now
he's on edge right now for sure.
So up on your prong here. So pull up. Just pull straight up.
Hey.
Keep pulling. Don't bob. Just pull. There you go.
Okay.
So bobbing is when you go up and down. Pull is just straight up
until he
sits up, and then you relax.
Okay.
Okay. So right now, he's I would agree he's a little bit on edge, but he's not tense. Okay. So
when we got out of the car, he was shaking when we got him out.
He's very right there.
He's very scared.
Yeah. So right now, looking at his body language, his tail is out and back, so that's relaxed. His ears are back, relaxed. His mouth is open and panting, which is typically venting stress. See how his mouth closed right there? He licked his lips. That's a stress sign. Right now, something's got his interest, so now he's in alert state. Okay. But still, for the most part, I would say more relaxed than tense. Okay. So a lot of times people unintentionally create their dog's reactivity because you're anticipating. So I already saw you doing this, right? So I said, don't do that because you're feeding in. So when you do this, right, I know why you're doing it.
Right.
Because I go, you have a reactive dog and you're getting ready. But then
I'm
your dog
reactive
goes,
now.
Yeah. So now your dog goes, hey, the moment that dog showed up, you got tense. So dog goes, so you must be worried about that dog. So now that creates reactivity because he doesn't understand you're prepping for him, right?
Right.
So that's why you're trying to be as relaxed as possible. You have good tools with you right now. You get the prong, and it looks like you got some kind of remote on it.
It's
his e-collar.
It's an e-collar, mostly for the beep and the vibrate.
Okay.
I haven't really, very rarely do I need to even
use it.
Yeah.
We had he's had a lot of training already, and we did e-collar training with him, and he had the sport dog collar.
Yeah.
And when he first lunged and barked at someone, it was after a class with that collar.
Okay.
Yeah, we paid for another trainer to e-collar train him, and we weren't there. It wasn't like a group thing. So we were dropping them off during the day and picking them up in the afternoons. You all right?
So you're gonna pull. So don't talk to him. You're gonna pull up and then forward and then relax like that. Okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
And ever since then, he's been more reactive.
There you go. And relax.
All right. He's been more reactive, and whatever they did to him, hey.
Up and relax. Yep.
There you go. Whatever they did to him in those trainings.
You feel like made it worse?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's when he started lunging and barking. Before he was just terrified, and anytime somebody tried to touch him, he'd back away like this.
So using the actual shock part of the thing, until I'm trained on how to do it, I don't want to do it because I don't want to mess him up worse.
Yeah.
Hey, right here.
And there's reasoning behind that, and I'll explain why. How many trainers have you had?
We did a 2-week board and train when he was 6 months.
Okay.
The guy was nice, did a good job. That's where we got on the prong collar.
Okay.
Then we did, probably 10 sessions with that sit place.
Those are private one-on-ones?
Yep.
Okay.
And then we've done group lessons, Obedience 1 group lessons, which was 7 weeks, Obedience 2 group lessons, 7 weeks, and then...
Still the same trainer?
No,
Different
we went
trainer.
to, who's this place? It's Advances in Animal
Behavior, which is all reward-based training.
Yeah. And we've repeated Obedience 2 as a group lesson,
Okay.
just to get them around other dogs.
Sure. So, and so which trainer created the problem? The second one?
Yeah, sit means sit, the
remote collar.
the remote collar.
The system you have here, was this a one that you got on your own?
This is one I got on my own.
Okay.
Yes, I don't.
'Cause
We
Sit
have
Sit has
theirs.
their own brand
Right,
of collar.
We bought that.
It's
We
the
have
sport
it.
dog one.
Yeah.
I like this one because it's got the louder beep and it's got the vibrate.
Sure.
So
Okay.
I just
How old
wanna-
is your dog?
He'll be 2 in August.
Okay. And then when, how old was he? So he was 6 months with the first trainer.
Yep.
When did the second trainer come in, age-wise?
He was,
A couple months after that.
yeah, a few months after that.
Okay.
I think he was almost a year.
Was it just to advance his training?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then you ended up,
And
a
then
problem ended up being created, and then
Yep.
now you've been on a journey to fix the problem.
Yep.
Okay.
First, we were on the journey just to make him less scared, because
He's always been-
he was afraid of everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
But
from what I can assess here, he's looking pretty good. I mean, he's under some stress, but when I get like a super fearful dog, like they're panicked. Like you can tell. Like they
Oh,
just
we've
want
worked
out of
very hard to get him to this point.
here. Yeah. So good work there, right? Sucks about the second trainer. It happens. I'm not going to say much because I'm on camera,
Yeah, I got you.
but yes.
I probably shouldn't have said the name of him, but
No, you're fine. 'Cause you're the client. I'm a business.
Yep, I got
So
you.
yeah. So you wouldn't be the first person. Okay. So like right now, you see how he's sniffing?
Yep.
We don't do anything with the sniffing.
Okay.
Sniffing is social behavior. Okay. It's curiosity. Okay. What you would be concerned with is like staring.
Sit,
so
sit.
so what you're gonna do here is you're gonna try up and you're gonna rotate back and kind of turn him to your side. But again, you're not gonna say
Like
any
walk him in a
commands.
circle.
Yep. Like that. Pull, 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 pull. Just like that. Very good.
There you go.
Just like that. Perfect. Okay. We're not looking for perfection. We're just trying to. You see how he's kind of doing
Yeah,
this?
he's creeping away from me.
Yeah. So all you're doing is you're delaying the brain and going. We're not doing that right now. Okay. But he's not in any state where I'm thinking you're needing to correct him to break the tension. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I get dogs that are here and you can just see it.
Yeah.
Right now he's like, oh, what's going on?
It's a surprise when he lunges.
Yeah,
Like
he's
you don't
lunged
see
and-
it coming. Like it just, or I can't see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
Like it just like he just goes.
Yeah. So
So I try to keep like a lot of distance between him and
For
other
sure.
people because he's afraid of strangers and
For sure.
kids.
Yeah. So, this is all stuff that I deal with. Like, this is my niche. It's my bread and butter. That's how I built my career. But right now, plus we have plenty of buffer space here, is I'm trying to help you use what you have to just contain, but also be a little bit more confident, right? So the reason why you have to be more strict here with like the laying down. Laying down is good because he's becoming more relaxed. But it's bad for the handler because you have to give slack. And if something triggers the dog, they have more slack to lunge.
Yep.
It's easier to control a reactive dog like this because you're closer to where that ring is. So if you pull up to stop him, you're right there.
Right.
But if you gave slack, you're all the way up here, and then your dog's all the way over there.
Right.
And now that's working against us. Does that make
Geometry.
sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just, and I was bad at geometry, but I know
That
at least
makes
this
sense.
much.
Yep.
Yep. So up
Come on.
and then relax. Perfect.
There
Okay.
you go.
And also the strictness of it is putting him in a different mindset because he's going, man, I can't even fucking lay down right now. You know, and it's that constant direction of you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do that. And he's like, well, what can I do? And it's like, just sit there and relax, dude. You know, it's that direct and consistent. How do you say? Expectation.
Okay.
That's helping the dog understand, like, okay, this is my role right now. Dad's in complete charge. I don't really have to worry about much. Okay. So even here, with the way he's looking, there's a little bit of suspicion there, but his mouth is open. Okay. A little was sniff there. Now there's a little bit of attention there. Now he released it. Okay. So you see how quick I'm able to read him? This is all stuff that I teach you. Okay. Like your dog, when people say, oh, it was unpredictable, I never take that seriously.
Right.
Because no dog is unpredictable. It's
That's
just
why
the
I said
human's
I
not
can't.
seeing-
I can't see it.
You
Yeah.
can't see it, or you're not reading what he's telling you. But your dog is telling me a lot right now. Okay. But with training, you have to know how to read your dog body language, how to perceive the world like your dog does, because they don't see it the same way that we do. Okay. Also, what do you have to communicate with your dog? In your case, you have a remote collar and you have a prong collar, and all these things just are bigger pieces to a puzzle. And when you have all those big pieces, is when you start to get make progress.
Okay.
So, in regards to the second trainer, shit like that happens. It's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Okay? The reason why that most likely happened, because I've had several of their ex-clients, is they don't condition correctly. Conditioning is how your dog perceives the collar. Okay. The dog should perceive the remote collar as a line of communication. Okay. So you have a beep, a vibrate, and a stim. Right. I only train using the stim. I never use any of the other functions because at some point the dog will learn to bypass them because they're neutrals.
Right.
Right. It's a sound or it's a vibration like your cell phone. It's nothing bad.
Yeah.
And it's not the bad part about the stim, right?
Yeah.
It's how the dog perceives the stim. So dogs are physical creatures. They nip and bite each other. Yep, up on your leash and then relax. Perfect. This here is a dog bite. You see like that, right? It's 10 stitches. Okay.
Jeez.
This was a dog that didn't want to go in a kennel. That's all it was. Not aggressive towards people. Never showed aggression in his life. This was the very first time. And it was because I was trying to load him into a kennel. He had never been created before. So after this happened and I called the owners, they're like, oh my God, are you gonna sue us? I go, no, it just comes with the territory. Like, your dog's not aggressive. First thing I asked was like, did you ever put your dog in a kennel? And they said no. I'm like, this is why this happened. Your dog freaked out. It was the first day of his boarding train. I literally had him for like 2 hours. And ironically, I was just trying to see if he would fit because it was a Great Dane. I didn't have a kennel that big yet.
Right.
So I had just started my brick and mortar. So once I loaded him in, he just freaked out and my hand was the closest thing to get me to stop, right? I didn't take it personally. I just go, that's how dogs communicate. They use their mouth to correct their puppies. They use their mouth to correct each other, to correct humans. They use it as a sign of affection. They use it to play when they grab on their jowls, right? Dogs are very mouth-based creatures. So when I look at aggression, I have to like assess everything, right? And then it's usually labeled with something like fear aggression, nervous aggression, territorial aggression. It's not just aggression, right? So if you think of your e-collar as a bite on a button, when conditioned correctly, I want the dog to perceive it similarly to a dog bite. So when I tap them or when I correct them on the collar, it's like another dog coming in and biting them and they're going, I disagree with that behavior.
Right.
But it's about how you condition it, okay?
Right.
Their methodology of conditioning to me doesn't make sense. That they're also a franchise. They used to have like 80 locations in the States, and I think it drops like 40, 50. Maybe partially because of COVID, but I think a lot of it's just because of conditioning. It's not good. It's like you pay like 50 grand, you get a DVD, you spend 2 weeks at their boot camp thing, and then they send you home typically with a dog that's already previously trained. Okay?
Oh.
So that's their demo dog. That's like the stuff that people don't know about.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense now that you said that.
Yes. So it's unfortunate. It's not uncommon in the dog training world. There's a lot of stuff that people, the unknowing dog owner sees and goes, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and then
that
like
was
blown
us.
away.
Yeah.
And then they do the training and then like $5,000 later, like what happened?
Yeah,
You know?
I thought we were getting that.
Exactly. No, unfortunately.
Completely off
Okay?
leash.
Yep. Completely off leash. Yeah.
The good thing is conditioning can always be fixed. Okay. So funny enough, my wife's sister's brother sent 2 dogs to the same facility to be, or same franchise to be trained, walked away neurotic messes. Okay. Guess who retrained them?
You.
Yes.
I would imagine.
Guess who's doing better now?
The
Those
dog.
dogs, yes.
Okay. The other thing about it is that their system is 14 to 21 levels. Okay, it's like usually it's a setting of 7 settings, and then low, medium, high, depending on the collar. So if you have low and high, you have 14 settings essentially.
Right.
If you have low, medium, high, you have 21 because it's 7 times 3. Okay. The issue with their case is one of their dogs is genetically screwed up. Okay, that's I know that. But when you put a genetically screwed up dog with a poor system and a poor method of conditioning, things just go south.
Yeah.
Okay. With our system, we have 127 levels of stimulation, which means like 21 and 127 are the same. I have 106 more divisions, so it's much more nuanced. Okay. This is super rare, but one of the dog that was neurotic was as low as 3 out of 127. Okay.
Wow.
1 on their system could be like 10. So even though it doesn't seem like much, some dogs are super sensitive. That's why she was just becoming worse and worse and worse.
Okay.
It's because it was too much. So once I came in with the correct, a more refined system, I had her as low as 3, and at 3, you could see where she was still stressing out about it, but she was receiving the information and understanding it, and getting better. Okay, up on the leash, very good. Okay, so conditioning is how does the collar turn on? How does the collar turn off? Okay. So, in my opinion, all animals learn best through negative experiences. Okay. You guys ever touch a hot stove? Would you do it again?
Right.
No. At least not on purpose,
Yep.
right? You ever go to a movie and like it sucks? Would you watch it again?
Oh, yeah.
No. It's
Exactly.
a movie, right?
Yep.
That's how negative experiences work. So the e-collar, to a degree, is a negative experience. But if the dog doesn't understand how to get it to go away, they become more stressed. And that's most likely where the behavior started coming from.
Okay.
Because it's seemingly random. So imagine, you guys drive? Imagine you park a car, you wake up the next morning, you go to your car, you find a ticket. Okay. You look at the ticket because there's supposed to be a reason. There's no reason. Okay. How you gonna feel?
What I do wrong.
What I do wrong?
Yeah.
And it happens the next day.
With the bags.
Yes.
Right?
Yep, we know
The
that.
next day it happens again. It's
confusing.
The next day it happens again. You're like, yo, what's going on?
What
Like,
am I
how do I
doing?
avoid this ticket, right? You need to understand why. So you may not agree with it and be like, what? Like,
Right.
watch here. So up on your leash, up and back, or up and turn. Yep. Very good.
There
Just
you
like
go.
that, and relax. You may not like the reason, but at least you understand, right? Like, oh, like I was 1 minute past the parking deadline, whatever.
Yeah, but at
right?
least it's
happened to me.
explained.
Yeah, it's explained.
And then you can
Same
avoid
thing
it.
for your dog. Exactly. Okay. And then now up and pull forward like that. Excellent. Is that all making sense?
Yeah.
So that's where I come in, and I go, okay, we need to fix the conditioning, and the reason why we have to use the stim is because dogs are physical creatures, right? But we have to do it appropriately. Okay. Physical corrections are healthy for your dog. Technically speaking, you're doing physical corrections with your prong collar. Do you know why your prong collar looks that way?
Because it feels like a bite.
Yes. It's meant to mimic a dog bite. Perfect, right? You'd be surprised how many people don't know that. Okay.
I watch a lot of your videos.
Yeah.
Good.
We watch a lot of other videos too,
So,
but yeah.
yes, it's meant to mimic a dog bite. Okay. So the remote collar, similarly, up and then turn around. Yep. Very good, just like that.
There you go.
But you see how he's kind of coming
Yeah,
forward, right?
he's trying
But
to
he's
inch
still,
around
for the
me.
most part, relaxed. Okay, right there. So, with the remote collar, people just think shock. They think electricity, right? But that's not what it is. Have you felt the collar?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
a
yeah.
stimulator. It's a muscle stimulator,
Yep.
right? So they use them in humans all the time.
Yep.
So, the way that we condition is we start low, we work our way up. I don't pick the number, your dog picks the number. Okay? If your dog responds, like I mentioned, her dog's name is Luso, at 3, then I'm at 3 for everything, right? If the dog needs 83, then I'm at 83 for everything. I don't pick the number, the dog does. Okay? Every dog is different, and this goes back to what I mentioned earlier about the breeds. Okay? Power breeds like bull terriers, pit bulls, bulldogs, Rotties, or whatever, because they're bred for purpose, and especially pitties, because pitties were bred for fighting, right? They're meant to withstand lots of pain and discomfort. Okay?
Yeah,
So-
his pain tolerance is ridiculous.
Yes. Okay. So that's where usually our numbers are higher. The problem that I come across is the human emotional component goes, oh, I don't like being at 95 to correct my pity. And I go, right, but you got a pity, and that's what they're bred for. They're
Right.
bred to take discomfort and pain because they're fighting dogs, right? So now I got a mismatch. So now I got a human that doesn't want to do 95, but the dog needs 95. So if they don't do that, I don't fix the problem.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It's not working on it.
And then keep relaxed. Yeah. So here we're watching. It's the energy. See how his mouth closed though? And it's no longer open. So that's a little bit of tension, but you see how his nose is puckering? He's still in a somewhat social state. And you see how he just briefly opened his mouth there? It's probably going to happen again. There's a little lip lick.
That body.
Yeah. And if you look, there it is. The open mouth. So now he just let it go. So that's like a relaxed state. Then he closes his mouth again. Dog's still over there.
Yep.
Right? So once you know this stuff, it's like real-time information. And
Right.
It's just like, oh, okay, like I know when I need to worry and when I don't need to worry.
Yeah, it's like the micro movements that
Yeah.
you're
And
catching that
there-
we don't know
There's
yet.
like 5 that are like very easy to read and tell you a ton. Okay. The other stuff like micro movements or little things are here and there, like you'll learn to see them over time. But there's like about 5 or 6 that are pretty big giveaways that most dogs tend to do.
Okay.
Okay. So, yeah. So with the conditioning stuff, again, I don't know what your dog's number is going to be. It's to be figured out during training. Okay?
Okay.
Now, the way that I train is I don't touch the dog. I train you to train the dog. Okay. If you're doing in person, which is typically what I recommend. Okay. Especially when you got a case like this. Especially also when you've already done the board and train initially.
Yep.
And then you've done all this other
We
I'm if you move forward, I'll tell you, forget all that shit. We're starting from scratch.
Okay.
Okay. So when people come
Yeah.
in with other things, they're like, wait a minute,
But I was taught this over
yes,
there.
and I go, throw it out the window.
Yep.
'cause-
That's
Whatever
not
I
the
did
dog.
obviously didn't work.
Exactly.
So,
But you'd be surprised how many times
Information.
people will just hold on to it.
Right.
You know?
I mean, it's just, we trained on it. We
Yes.
train, we take them
It's
home.
habit and all that
put
stuff.
they tell you, put your work in. We do. We go home, we go to the park, we put in what they're teaching us, and
Yes.
we train on it, and it's, sometimes it's helped. I mean, it has helped, obviously.
He's
He's
a
gotten
lot better than
than he was,
For
but
sure.
with
it's
his
not what
nervousness,
it's not,
but he's still not there.
Yeah, for sure.
Like it doesn't take much. Like
when I'm taking him on a walk, like last week I took him on a walk and it was really windy that day, and I think he was getting a lot of snow, so he was a little bit on edge. And then, like, we got to a corner and he sat down, and then, like, the wind blew and this tree moved and he saw, like, the shadows. Whole rest of the walk, nervous wreck.
Yeah. So like that right there, with the collar, you can help bring them back to stability, or as close to stability as possible.
Yeah, I can't really get him back from that, because then he's, like, pulling and stuff, and he just
So
won't
that's where the collar comes
calm
in.
down.
Okay. The collar and then the output of the collar. So output means how strong is it. So if we think of it simply, there's low, medium, high, right? So like Luso and Dino, the two dogs that I retrained, were on the low output collar. Okay, it's meant for small dogs. So 100 on that collar could be like 30 on a high powered collar.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah.
So when I deal with that, when I work with certain cases, I'll tell the client, you know what, just go with the high powered collar, because in case we end up needing it, we already have it.
Right. You can always turn it down.
Yes, and what it means is we just get more from less. Okay, so why that factors in is if I have a 80-pound pitty, right, who's a nervous, fearful wreck or whatever, people just tend to think about like the problem behavior or like certain situations, but they don't think of like worst case scenario, and that's how I think. I think, okay, we got a power breed, 80 pounds, short coat, has fear, nervous, or whatever, right? And gets stressed out when in certain environments. Is I have to be able to override all of that, right? So if I don't have enough output to cut through everything, we're not getting anywhere.
Right.
And this has happened. This is super common where I get clients and they're still struggling. And the first thing I look at, if they come from another trainer, is their system. And that's usually what I point to first. I go, one, like I had a guy, same trainer, their collar is really meant for a 35-pound dog and under, okay? So when I showed it, he had a 90-pound pitty with leash reactivity. And I walk in, and within 2 seconds, I go, well, that's part of your problem right there. And he's like, what? I'm like, that collar's meant for a dog third of your dog size.
Right.
You don't have the output to override the reactivity. He's like, yeah, he's like, because I'm on 7 all the time. He's like, it doesn't do anything.
Right.
I go, right. I'm like, that's because not enough output. So we had to upgrade the collar, of course, redo the training, and then by the 3rd class, we had cut the reactivity. Because this dog was actually pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Okay. But when you have, even in most straightforward cases, if you have bad training or bad communication, things don't get better or they get worse. Okay. So, is this making sense so far?
Yes.
Yes.
Questions so far?
No. This is a whole different avenue we're going down here.
Yeah,
so.
And like I used to have all my training videos used to be public, believe it or not. I got thousands of training videos on YouTube. Okay. But then someone on TikTok, because trainers like myself we're not popular because of the methods that we use. Someone on TikTok took videos out of context and was posting them up and getting like all these views.
Oh, yeah.
And then people started coming after us. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And then one of my employees at the time was on TikTok. She's like, hey, by the way, you know this trainer's like talking all this shit about you? I'm like, what the hell? I was like, I don't know who they are. Like, you know, but they were just doing it for obviously the clout and all that BS. So unfortunately, I had to take that stuff down. But people, you don't know how many people came to us going like, hey, like, I love that I saw this dog from class 1 to class 9, and you that's 9 hours of unedited footage, and you just see them like make progress.
Right.
You know, now I have to clip things and explain things and all that stuff.
What a
which is
shame.
unfortunate, yeah. But I do still have some videos where I explain. Like, there's one dog's name is Georgia. It's a small dog, like 25 pounds. Okay, this was my worst case of 23 in terms of reactivity. When I saw her, we were here, and dogs could be all the way over there, and she was just flipping out, like just crazy reactive. Okay, and I didn't film the console because I was at the end of the day I was tired.
Yeah.
And I was like, I should have filmed it because that case was so crazy. But she moved forward to training. But I told her, I said, you want the high powered collar, okay? And she didn't argue with me. She just took everything that I said and followed the instructions. But she ended up being a case where I had to correct her at max power for everything, okay? And we didn't do it from the get-go. It took me until the 4th to 5th class before I said, okay, now today we're
Going
gonna
all
do
the way
this.
up.
Because that's why we do low to high. Because if we do end up higher, for the human, emotionally, they understand why. Right? They go, I spent 4 weeks doing 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, all the way up to 127.
Right.
And not till I hit that range that I start seeing progress. Right? That's a rare case. But if you would like to see it, because I explained it like in depth and I show clips and everything of her before and after, just so you can kind of get an understanding of the process. That's why, again, the collar is important. And also, logic gets thrown out the window. Because human logic says, that's a 25-pound dog, Jesse. Why do you need a collar band for a Rottweiler?
Right.
I go, because that dog is that crazy. So like the saying, it's not the dog in the fight, but the fight in the dog. Completely true.
Yep.
That is a perfect example of that saying, okay? So, when I bring up these stories, it's not because it happens all the time, because it doesn't. It's I can only take you as far as you're willing to go, right?
Yep.
So if we do come to the conclusion, we have to be up there, right? So there's a little bit of tension there. Okay. Now, yep, there you go. Good. Relax. Good. If you're not willing to do that, then I can't help you.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're
So
definitely
I
willing.
paint it the worst it could be, and the owners go, we can't do that. Then I go, then I may not be able to help you, right? Or they go, whatever I need to do. I go, great, I can help you. Okay. Georgia was the first and only dog in 15 years who was a 25-pound dog that needed the collar of a Rottie in order for me to fix the problem.
That's crazy.
Okay, that's very rare. Okay.
Yeah.
Most of them I said typically pitties, if not a pity, some kind of bully breed. Okay. So, what are your goals with the training? What do you want to accomplish?
I'd like to be able to have them off leash ultimately, but even if not, like I like to be able to walk around the park or walk around the block without him reacting to a person or dog.
Okay.
We go camping up in Michigan on the weekends a lot, and we're in a campground. People just walk up to the campfire, and he's lunging. He's attacking. He's trying to attack, and I can't have that.
Okay.
There's little kids around.
Very scary when it happens.
Yeah, he's snapped at kids. He snapped at kids in the park, just going for a regular walk like this, and the kid comes running up. Little kid doesn't know any better, wants to pet the dog, and he's snapping.
Okay.
And I understand why, but I can't have him doing it.
Sure.
So,
What else?
I mean, I want him to be comfortable too. He's like, he gets uncomfortable in his own skin.
All the time. Right now he's on, what are those pills called that we gave him?
Trazodone.
Trazodone.
Sure. Is he on that right now?
Yes.
We gave him one this morning.
I'll give him one every morning.
Okay.
It says to give him 3 twice a day, which we did last year when the fireworks were about to
sure.
happen, because we didn't know how he was going to act with it, because it was his first 4th of July.
Yeah.
And he was like...
Yeah,
so
we're not trying to drug him out of being a dog, you know.
But we like him when he's a little bit easier to control with just the one in the morning. Like he's able, and he's gotten better where he's able to, like, you're able to, like, snap him out of it.
Sure.
Before he gets so fixated, you couldn't, like,
Get him back from it. But he's constantly, like, I always thought that he just was high energy, but I'm realizing that it's more than just high energy. It's like his nervousness.
Yes.
So before I was thinking, I was like, okay, he's got a lot of energy, got to wear him out, got to exercise him, take him for a walk, take him for a run, let him journey around the yard, throw the ball.
It's like, as soon as he wakes up in the morning, he's like, what are we going to do?
Yeah, but that's not curing his anxiety or whatever it is that's going on in his head that makes him feel like he's always seems like he's on edge and anxious. I want him to feel better about himself and be more confident and
Relax.
Relax,
'cause he
yeah.
seems just so stressed constantly.
We call that hypervigilance. The dog's just constantly like that on edge. It's like a constant protection mode. You said one key word though, which is actually, in my opinion, your dog's problem. Do you know what that key word was?
what's that?
When you were describing
No.
him?
That he's anxious and on edge? No. No, I don't.
Nervous.
Oh, nervous. Yes.
I'll explain why. My bad is here.
Yep.
Very nervous.
Yes. So there's 4 kind of key emotions. Fear, nervousness, anxiety, aggression or anger, right? Aggression. that way. Check. Check. If you have a nervous dog, okay? And everybody experiences these things in life. It's inevitable, right? At some point you're gonna get angry, at some point you're gonna get scared, you're gonna get nervous, you're gonna get anxious.
It's an emotion.
Yeah. There are certain people, however, that lean more heavily or trigger more quickly into these behaviors. Like anxiety now is like super common, right? Dogs are similar. There's dogs that every dog's gonna feel that emotion in its life at some point, right? But there's certain dogs that are just like nervous for like the littlest things, or like fearful of like the littlest things, you know? Usually people tend to attribute it towards abuse, like, oh, the dog was abused in the past, you know? And I'm like, that is...
I get that question a lot from random strangers, like, oh, he's a rescue? I'm like, I mean, kind of he is, but we've had him since he was 8 weeks old.
Yeah. So like, you're like, I know there's no abuse here.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I don't think he got a lot of
In the first 8 weeks of life, he was a...
physical contact. He was in a barn, and I think he was in the barn the whole 8 weeks.
It was a bad breeder kind of situation.
Sure, like a...
So...
Yeah, I got like a backyard breeder or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so like he didn't see any of the things outside of the barn until we got him, and he was basically scared of everything.
And that's possibly why. There's times where it's just genetics.
Right.
You know, like I had a client, she was a volunteer at a rescue. They took in a cattle dog that was pregnant. She gave birth at the rescue. My client whelped all the puppies, raised them, took one home at 8 weeks, and it bit her son and her husband seriously multiple times within 1 month. So by when I came in at 3 months, okay, and I'm like, oh, it's puppy biting, right? And I'm like, oh shit, that's not puppy biting. Like that's a puppy. That's aggression. And she's like, yeah, she's like, and it was funny because she admitted, she said, Jesse, I used to be one of those people that used to think like if your dog was aggressive, you screwed the dog up or there was abuse or what have you. She's like, I know for a fact
that
everything didn't happen here. Right. This is genetics. I go, yeah. Like I was already aware. Like I'm like, that happens. But that's what people tend to lean towards because of emotion.
Right.
Okay.
Like I said, we've been asked multiple times.
Yes.
Oh, he's
his
a rescue.
brother's really chill.
Yeah. So there you go.
My son has his brother.
Yeah.
The most relaxed dog. It just come up,
You're
he's
like,
off leash all day. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, all the time.
Most likely just
and
genetics.
half the size of him too.
You know.
Yeah.
So these things happen. So like Luso and Dino, the dogs I mentioned earlier, one neurotic, one not. They're litter mates.
Yeah.
You know, like it happens. Just like with people and their own kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Siblings.
You have 4 kids and then there's the one that's a screw up.
I mean, I got 4 kids that have 4 completely different personalities.
Yeah. That's just how that stuff works, right?
I have a crazy sibling.
We all do.
If you have siblings and you don't have a crazy one, it's you.
That's a good one. I'm the oldest of 4. So yeah, you know, I get it. Yeah, we're all different, you know?
Yeah.
So here, don't take it personally. Like I get that all the time, you know?
Yeah.
He didn't do anything wrong. You know, it could be what happened with the training. It could be what was already there and the training just kind of pulled it out.
That's kind of what it seems like to me.
Yeah. I've had clients where their dogs were great like the first 3 years, and then some random off-leash dog attacks their dog, and like a light switch the next day, the dog's aggressive.
Completely different, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So up and then, yep.
Come on. Nope.
And you know, pull back and then turn. There you go. So the reason why I categorize your dog as nervous, typically reactivity towards humans is nervous related. If it's fear related, the dog won't lunge. The dog will go back. They don't want the confrontation, and if I move in, you'll see them go like, oh, I don't want it. And unless I force them.
That's how he used to be.
Sure.
When anytime somebody was trying to, and he's very head shy too.
Yeah. So head shy is typically nervous as well. So
he's always been head shy.
Nervous dogs don't like big energy, fast moving energy, and boisterous energy. Okay? That's kids.
Yep. Yes.
They're random.
Yep.
Okay,
That's what I've been saying about kids the whole time. I said I think he's afraid of kids because he just doesn't know like what he's going to get out of them because you're never sure how they're going to behave.
That's typically nervous dog. Okay. The camper stuff. So out of everything you have described to me so far, the camper stuff is the most difficult.
Yeah.
Okay. So the reason is, you're there. It's you guys. It's him.
Yep.
Okay. You have a territory.
Yep.
And I understand it's like a shared little campground. People are coming and going. He doesn't see it that way.
No,
Okay.
I know he doesn't.
So that's a bit trickier because if we have random people coming into the space, it's hard to kind of guarantee that nothing would happen. Okay, now is there stuff that we can do? Yes. There would have to be a lot of control involved to avoid these situations as one. Training as well to correct and deter the behavior also. But it's not like, okay, I corrected the behavior, he'll never do it again.
Right.
This dog's gonna live another 12, 14 years or so,
Yeah.
right? So at some point, it's probably gonna happen. It's just the rate of it happening,
Yeah.
right? So I get clients whose dogs are reactive 10 times a walk, 3 times a day. And then we do the training and the dog's reactive once in 6 months. Like that's a dramatic drop, right?
Right.
Because there's no such thing as perfection. But these are things that I try to help you navigate as safely as possible. Muzzle definitely is something that I'd recommend there.
We need help with the muzzle. Pete bought.
Yeah. I
Go
bought the Baskerville muzzle, 2 different sizes. I got a 4 and a 5. The 4, he couldn't barely open his mouth, and the 5 were up in his eyes.
So he might need a custom one. Did you get like on Amazon or something?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be able to return it if it has
I
been
did.
too long.
I already did.
Perfect.
Both of them.
Yeah, if you look up like muzzles for bulldogs, there's like some sites that are like they're for like Frenchies or pugs because their mouths are so weird.
Yeah.
He most likely, and they'll have you measure the bridge of his nose, the circumference and everything, and then they send it to you later on.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Muzzle training is another thing because he's
Yeah.
not really taken to it very well. We have a couple different styles, and I mean we're working on it. He does good. He does it like he does a trick. Like I taught him a trick. He'll put out the muzzle on. He gets his treats. He's happy
keeping
for
it
it.
on.
But it's not keeping it on, and just he's not getting the right mindset about it. Like he doesn't know what it's meant for. So I'd like to have it on him where he can just sit here and be calm with it. Where it's to him, he's performing a trick.
Yeah, yeah, it's temporary.
Yeah, and he's happy, he's wagging, he's getting treats, and then once it's done, take it off.
You can
know?
email Tina after the consult,
Okay.
and then on my website I have a page called Dog Training Resources, and like near the middle of it I have muzzle conditioning videos.
Yeah,
and you can
I was
watch
watching
those.
them. Yep.
Yeah. So I would continue with that. If you move forward with the training, at some point we'll bring in the muzzle, and
Okay.
then if you've done all the homework and baseline foundation of the food stuff, we do what's called force conditioning, which is we can use the remote collar to get the dog to tolerate the muzzle.
Okay.
This is something I do as a last step. If because I had some dogs with the clients like Jesse, I've done all the stuff for months and they just won't accept it. I
Right.
go, all right, we're just gonna make it happen then.
We'll force it
But
then.
at least we know we
Okay.
did.
We tried
our-
everything,
exactly.
yep.
Again, that's why I always start with the easy stuff. So if we end up with the hard stuff, the human at least knows
We worked
I
up
did my
to it,
part.
yep.
Exactly. So this isn't Jesse being an asshole.
Yep.
This is because this
I
is all
got
we
you.
got. Okay.
Because that's a condition of him going up to that camp again
Correct,
is
yeah.
he can't be biting little kids.
Correct.
Can't have it.
Yeah.
So even if we're fixing that reaction or the reactivity from whatever, like you said, we can bring it down, but it could happen again.
Yes.
So we can't have that.
So, what makes me a good trainer is like, I've seen so much stuff and I already kind of know everything that could happen, is I can usually predict a lot of things and tell you, you want to avoid this. If this happens, this is probably going to happen, whatever, whatever. And then there's some stuff that people are surprised by. They're like, really? I go, yeah. I'm like, with this kind of dog, this is something I would expect. And then sometime sooner or later, they're like, Jesse, you're right. Like, that same thing happened. And what you said, he responded that way, but because I already knew, I was able to correct the situation.
Yeah, that's why you're the
Because
professional.
life's not going to be perfect, okay? That's why with cases like this, I always tell people you want to do it yourself. I already know how to do this.
Right.
I don't need more experience.
Yes, we need to know how to do
You
it.
need to know how to do it.
And that was the thing with even at the board and train and with the other place, we're dropping them off, we're letting you do it, and we're not getting the training.
Right.
Which is why we got into the group lessons, which I really enjoy the group lessons. We do good at it. It's good for him to
We
be
were
around.
actually concerned how he was going to be knowing that he was going into training because
Go in there and he'll be like, I know how to do
Yeah.
this. This is training.
Sure. He was already in that mode.
where he goes into like work mode. He's like,
We're training. I'm going to do exactly what
they
Right.
tell me, and then outside of their
Yeah. So that's why we like to train here. We started doing this because of COVID. So prior to COVID, I used to travel to all my clients. I used to do home visits. And then when COVID happened, nobody wanted me coming over anymore. And I needed to, I had opened my brick and mortar September of 2019, 6 months later.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. So
That's
I had
rough.
this like $20,000, $30,000 overhead a month.
Then you gotta come and
Everything got shut down. So we ended up devising this, and it was super popular. And people just loved doing everything themselves and being coached through it. And if like things went south, like if dogs become reactive here, which happens, I just walk them right through it, you know? So then they're like, okay, cool. I can do this now real time on my own using the experience that I had at Oz Park.
Yeah.
Okay. So In terms of like length and time of what I would recommend, it just comes down to how much you're wanting to achieve. Okay, so we have 3, 6, 9, and 12-week programs, once a week for an hour. Okay. If you did 6, that's what I call like the bare bones. Like I'm coming in just focusing on the stuff that I know is super important and necessary. And then if you do anything more, it just gives me more time to kind of work with you through things. Okay.
Okay.
If you did 6, there has to be 2 on heel. I have to reteach the heel.
Okay.
That has to happen. That's the conditioning part.
Okay.
The reason why heel is important is most people tend to walk their dogs 3 times a day, 7 days a week. So that's 3 times a day, 7 days a week. You're practicing this routine. You're using the remote regularly. Your dog's experiencing the remote regularly. That's part of conditioning. People tend to treat remote call as last resort. Oh, now my dog is barking and lunging, so now I'm going to shock them.
Right.
And I go, no. You have to do it for every little thing. So when you do have to correct them for that behavior, the dog understands, again, why that's happening. Okay. So the first 2 classes are on heel, and then you give me feedback. Like, hey, Jesse, ever since we did heel, he seems calmer on the walks. You know, he doesn't stare at kids when they're running by him or whatever. I go, cool. Like, we've already seen progress there.
Right.
And then you might say, but we did have reactivity towards this thing or that thing. I go, okay, that makes sense. We're going to make some tweaks. Here's your homework for the week. Rinse and repeat. Okay. By the 3rd class, we should have a good understanding of where we're at with that stuff. So you might say like, this is where he's struggling, and if I can create a controlled context, then I do so. Okay. And then we work to the controlled context, go off, rinse, repeat again, come back class 4. Right? Because really play it by ear.
Okay.
So it would be 2 on heel, a 3rd on controlled context, like trying to piss him off, so that we can shut that down, teach him that's not an option, teach you how to handle it should it happen, right? Okay. And then theoretically, the dog goes, okay, I lunge, like for example, if I go to touch him with the sleeve or whatever, and let's say he doesn't like it, he acts out, we correct it, and then he goes, okay, I did what I wanted to do, it didn't work, right? So when I get human reactive cases, I can typically tell what I'm doing isn't gonna work by the 3rd class because the dog is still growling at me, okay? He's just observing right now. Because the dog will still be growling at me, okay? So if the dog is still growling at me, that tells me the dog perceives me as a threat.
Yeah.
Okay? So the worst thing to the dog is me touching them. So I have to do that. So once I touch them and we expose them to the worst thing that could happen, even if they become aggressive and we correct it and teach the dog that's not going to work and nothing is happening, almost always after that, the dog is completely fine. Okay, because that's one thing that trainers don't do a lot of times is they'll see the aggression here.
Yeah.
And they're correcting it, but if you're never ever touching the dog never has the physical connection of
The
like,
worst
you're not causing
possible,
harm. Exactly.
the worst possible thing in his head that could happen.
Yes, because he's thinking, oh, you're coming near me,
yeah.
because you're gonna hurt me.
Right.
So if I touch him and I don't hurt him,
Right.
and nothing is happening, the dog goes,
And he's
oh,
like, that's
it was
weird.
in my head. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got
So,
you.
questions on that part there?
Nope.
No.
That makes sense.
So let's play it by ear. Every case is different.
Yep.
Okay. The 4th class, probably maybe muzzle conditioning stuff, using the remote collar to try to back it up so he learns how to tolerate it. The 5th class could be me showing you how to correctly socialize him with people to try to build that circle of trust. Okay.
Okay.
It's not going to help anything like the campground. That's a separate scenario. Okay. But the more people the dog is welcoming to can help them not perceive everybody as a threat.
Yes. And he has his favorites, you know. Once he gets past somebody, best friends.
So I can help you learn how to get
So
him
affectionate.
past that stuff. Okay.
Yep.
The 6th class, we can treat it as a variable, like where it's like, hey, we want to cover this or what have you.
Okay.
If we did 9 or 12, it gives us more time to do like the off-leash stuff that you're wanting.
Okay.
So the most important thing here almost always is behavior, right? Because behavior is what's going to get the dog in trouble. He bites the wrong person, you got a lawsuit. Or he has multiple bites, the dog gets put down.
Yep.
Right?
So we're trying to avoid.
Yeah, so that's why I always do heel first, because that has to happen. Everything stems off of that, okay? If you did 9 or 12, we could do like recall, we could do stationary control. So that gives you like the off-leash freedom, being able to call your dog, and not having to worry about if he's going to run away, stuff like that, okay?
Seems like a pipe dream at this point.
We can move to the sun here.
Oh yeah, I'm a little chilly.
Move to the sun.
It got cool.
Somebody.
We can get an example of the people with their off-leash dogs.
Yep.
There we go.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
Oh, much better.
Yeah,
Am I turning blue?
The lakefront is a big factor.
Yes, it is. And I brought a sweater. It's in the truck.
You want to go grab it?
No, it's all right. I'll be good. Hey, sit down, Bubble.
Got 10 more minutes. So yeah, it's really just how you want to approach it. Usually when people come to me, especially after having several trainers, they're kind of skeptical. So they'll go like, oh, can we do like 6 and then add on more? I go, sure, but we don't prorate it.
Yeah,
Okay?
I got you.
The reason why we don't prorate it is my calendar is a constant door of new clients, right? So if you book 6, the way it's typically handled is that you pick a time with Tina that would work for you on a weekly basis.
Okay.
Okay. So if it was Saturday at 12, I see you on Saturday at 12 for 6 weeks in a row.
Okay.
Plus 1 week, just in case you get sick or something. So technically 7 weeks, we call it giving you priority.
I got you.
No one's going to take that time from you unless someone previously booked the time. You're not losing the slot. So she might reschedule you for the day just because someone in the past is coming back for a one-off or whatever.
Okay.
You know? But otherwise, that is your time. Let's say you decide, hey, we're on class 4, we're making great progress, we're very happy, we want to add another 6, right? Well, she may have already booked someone after your program ends. They anticipated exactly,
that's
right?
fine.
So then technically you're back in line again, okay?
Yep.
So, so we don't prorate. If you do a longer program, you do get a cheaper class rate per class,
Right.
Because you're saying, oh, we want 12 classes, or we want 9 classes. All on my website's all public knowledge, whatever. And you'll see, 3 week, 6, 9, and 12. I don't do one-offs for new clients. I do it after a client has completed a program, right? Because I can't teach the totality of e-collar in one class. It's something that you learn over the course of time, okay? So, if you did 6, that would be me bare bonesing it, okay? Doing as much as I can, targeting the important stuff that I know that's gonna be beneficial to you, cutting any BS. A lot of trainers will make you go through all these steps, and a lot of them don't even target what you're wanting, right? And then like, they might, like I've had clients come in and be like, oh, heel was the last thing that we learned. And I go, why? I'm like, heel should be the first thing you learn. But it's because most trainers don't know how to teach heel, okay?
We struggle with heel with him.
Yeah, so heel has to happen for the reactivity. So the 2 most common things I deal with are leash reactivity and leash pulling. Heel fixes both those things. So we do that class 1. So the client's like, class 1, huh? Like, we're getting that answer right away. Because that's what tells me everything. So heel fixes 70 to 80% of problems. So when I get a dog that's chewing up the house, that's typically frustration. When I get a dog that's hypervigilant within the home, it's usually the brain's inability to relax. Overstimulation. Yep. So see right there where you lift up his right paw?
He does that. That's his unsure.
Unsure.
Yep.
Very good. Yes, right? Because we got a fast-moving dog cutting in right there. So he's like, I don't know how, is that going to be a threat or not a threat, right? But that's the importance of reading that body language, right? So
what do I do to that? Do I just let it be and just observe?
Because he's not doing anything bad.
Right.
He's just telling you how he feels.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Now, if he would have did this,
and then stood up.
Exactly. So that's him making the choice of, I might have to confront this.
Well, like you called it earlier, I start getting a little more tense on this too.
I help with all that stuff because I have to, again, rewire you because you get what you give. If you're giving tension, you're going to get tension. When you give relaxation, you're going to get relaxation. Like he keeps wanting to relax, right? We're just not letting him because of the environment. This gives you the most control. But once we have better tools, then I go, sure, it's not a problem. We can let him relax because we know we have more control, we have more trust, we know he's less likely to be reactive or whatever, right? And maybe in a different scenario, it's like, nope, we can't give him that because it's too much stuff going on and this works best for me, okay? So the 9 and 12, we can cover more stuff. So if you did 12, almost always we're getting towards off-leash stuff, okay? The variable is just behavior. So if I have a behavior I'm working on that maybe took me 3 classes to get out the way, right? That kind of affects how much off-leash control we get. So there's 6 commands: sit, stay, down, come, place, heel, okay? Those commands are meant to be functional. They're meant to allow you to live life with your dog and to do more things with your dog because you have so much control. All those commands can be built to an off-leash level, okay? The only command that has to be off-leash reliable, good job, is recall. It's the only command that has to be off-leash reliable, okay? But every command can be built to an off-leash level. Typically what people do is they'll get the heel to be off-leash they'll get recall to be off leash, and then we usually get one kind of stationary command to be off leash as well. And even those 3 things alone allow you to do a ton of stuff with the dog as well.
Hey.
Okay. Yep.
Come here.
Just pull. There you go. So yeah, so if you did 12 and we have some problem behavior that we're just kind of working on, we're still going to get off leash reliability. We just won't get all 6 commands, right? If this dog didn't have behavioral issues, all 6 commands would be built to an off leash level. So like yesterday, I had a client. They're doing 12. Up. Yep,
Come on.
up. And it was their
Sit.
9th class. We had the 2nd class of transferring things to the long leash to build towards off leash, and I told them at this point you're going to come when you need me. Okay. Because when we start to get to off leash stuff, you have to practice. You need lots of reps. Okay. So they might come back in a month. They might come back in a month and a half or 2 months.
So they just schedule that through Tina and say, hey, we're ready for this lesson.
Yes. They go, this is where we're at. Sometimes people remember things. They screw up things. I help them fix it. Or they go like, this is where we're at. We don't know how to get to the next stage.
It's a lot of information to take in and learn and do on your own.
Yes. Okay, so I'm not abandoning them because I told them you're welcome to continue to have them week by week. But at this point, to get the most value and make sure by the 12th class your dog is off leash reliable, you start to space them out. Okay?
That makes sense.
Yeah, same thing with behavior as well. With behavior, there's certain things that are going to be step by step. And then I go, okay, we've gotten all the groundwork done. Now you need experience, right? Now you need successes and you need failures. So let's say you take a break for a month. You go and try to socialize him. You come back a month later, you're like, hey, Jesse, we had 80% good experiences. This 20% was bad. Then I go, what was bad about it?
Okay.
You give me information. I go, okay.
And we
this
work
is how
on
we go.
that.
Exactly. Okay.
I
That's
like
just
it.
how that stuff works. Again, every case is different. But typically, I'll try to cover everything that's on a week-to-week basis. And at a certain point, I go, we got enough obedience and we got enough behavior that now I suggest you just rinse and repeat and you come back when you're ready. And you always have me as a resource.
Okay.
So typically clients will just email me. Okay. So if something happens, they'll email me and I'll tell them, sucks that it happened. Don't worry about it. It's like a fluke moment. Like I had a client that emailed me yesterday. I trained their dog like 4 years ago. Attacked the dog for the first time.
Oh, wow.
Okay, at the dog park. Nobody was hurt, no punctures, whatever. Yeah. But she emailed like, oh, can you please give me a call? I go, sure, I have a busy day, but I'll get back to you. In owning a dog, that dog's like 5 years old now. It's one time in 5 years, is that the person, of course, goes, oh my God. And I go, it happens once in 5 years. I get clients where it's like once a week. I got a client whose 2 dogs are 2 Chihuahuas. They're 12 years old. They're fighting like every day, 3 times a day.
That's got to be miserable.
Like I'm like, trust me, like, it's not that I'm like, I don't care. I go, that's a part of owning a dog. It's like getting a horse and never getting kicked. Like at some point, you're probably gonna get kicked. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
So my job is, of course, to help. We're gonna control that stuff. We're gonna rein it in, but then at the same time, educate you so that you're like, okay, we know these are the situations where we can't just have them out and loose because there's gonna be people free roaming or whatever. So we're gonna have these things in play so we can help mitigate stuff.
All right.
Okay. Anything else? Any other questions?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
No more group lessons then?
That's up to you. Like, it's not going to be beneficial.
No.
Everything I do is private one-on-one.
Yeah.
I know clients have asked me about group.
I just thought because we like these trainers and it's almost like going to kindergarten for him. He gets to socialize and...
What I would do, like, if it's something you enjoy, like, I go, if you enjoy it, do it. If you're doing it for your dog, I go, it doesn't have any real value.
Okay.
Okay. This is where the value is.
Yeah.
Being ready for the real world.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So...
It's a weird classroom setting in a basement of this training facility and just, I don't know.
Yeah.
He enjoys it, I enjoy it.
Sure, then you continue doing it.
Okay.
But you would separate the two.
Yep.
Right? So when you're like, okay, I'm in Jesse mode here, I'm in life, whatever, it's a certain approach. And at the group thing, it's a different approach. Like I get clients that do agility, and they're like, oh, do I need to bring my e-collar for agility? I go, that depends on your trainer. I'm like, that's completely separate from what I do.
Right.
I'm not like, oh, you do it this way and only this way. It's like not going to work against you that you're doing the group classes.
Yep.
I just don't see it helping you with this stuff.
With this problem, right.
Yeah,
it's
they're
just more of something for him and me to do on a Wednesday
Correct.
night.
Yeah, which is completely fine.
Yep.
It's when I get, like, I had a client, they used to walk her dogs 3 hours a day. And I was like, Jesus, like, that's a lot of walking.
Yeah.
And I thought she was doing it for her dogs. And I was like, are you doing it for your dogs or are you doing it for yourself? And she's like, well, I enjoy it. then I go to continue doing it, right? But most people, they don't want to have to walk their dogs 3 hours
For
a day.
3 hours, yeah.
You
I
know,
don't
most
have that
people
kind
are-
of time.
yeah, you know, hour is 20 minutes, 20 minutes a day. It's pretty common, right? So that's usually what I recommend for people. But she was like, no, I do it for me. I enjoy walking. And then I go, by all means, walk your dogs. But it's when people do things for the dog, right?
Right.
That's where it's problematic.
Yep,
because
I
they're,
gotcha.
to a degree, catering to the dog.
Right.
It's one thing when it's for yourself and the dog, it's to tag along. It's
Right.
another thing when it's like, I'm doing this solely for the dog. Because
Then
that
it's not
energy
the right
tends to
thing, yeah.
create issues,
Oh.
okay? We'll definitely have to upgrade your collar, okay?
Oh, yeah, for
I was
sure.
going to ask about that. That's
So he'll be on the black edition, which is the meant for the big boys. Okay. Tina will send you the information on it.
okay.
I don't care where you get the collar. I do care that you get the correct color.
Okay.
So it'll literally say black edition. Don't order off of Chewy if you do order online.
Okay.
Chewy sends the wrong model all the time. Amazon is hit and miss.
Okay.
Sometimes you get because it's like a big warehouse. They have similar model names. It's called the 1900S, and there's like 4 different versions of the 1900S. And one of them is the black
The
edition.
black edition,
So
1900S.
sometimes, yes. So
Okay.
if you do get it anywhere else, just make sure when it shows up it says black edition. Okay. And
Okay.
Tina, of course, will give you this information.
Okay.
Will she give us some information on where to get the muzzle for his face too? Or
That
for
you have to Google.
His head. Okay.
Just Google
search it
custom
for-
muzzle for a bulldog.
Okay.
And like it should pop
Should we
up.
do bulldog or
I mean,
just bulldog or
What's his
pit
next?
bull?
Pit-
Pit bull,
pit and
Old
English
English
bulldog.
bulldog.
I would do old English bulldog. I mean,
I'm not sure where his snout fits
yeah,
into
yeah.
that.
He looks more bulldoggy to me than pitty.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll see because you have to measure
Okay.
everything, so it doesn't really
It's
matter.
custom no
what the
matter
breed-
what, yeah.
But that's most likely where you're gonna find some kind of custom muzzle is gonna
Okay.
be for the bulldog breed itself. Because pitties fit with the Baskerville.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I can see where his snout's gonna be kind of awkward for you.
Right.
Okay?
But it just wasn't fitting, so.
Yeah.
Big
And
ol'
it
head.
should be
Yeah, good point.
meant for extended wear. Okay,
Okay.
so like a mesh muzzle is not meant for extended wear.
Right.
It's temporary. Baskerville is meant for extended wear because the dog can drink water, open their mouth, pant,
Yep.
take food as well. So that's things to consider. If
Okay.
you're unsure, you can always send us pictures.
Come here.
You can always
Sit.
send us pictures, and then I can review it and
I
I'll let you
already
know
saw.
if it's a good muzzle.
Mhm.
Because if he's gonna be wearing it for like 2 hours at a time or whatever, because there's gonna
Right.
be kids,
Yep.
you want to have
Right,
he needs to be able to do those
comfortable.
things. Yep, exactly.
For sure.
Okay. And then the muzzle conditioning is separate from the training. You just do that on your own.
Okay.
If it's not worth dedicating a class because the class itself is expensive, and I'm like, if you could just get it from YouTube videos, that's more value.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what
I
we
saw
were
where it
working
was
on.
at on your
Yeah.
website.
But sometimes it does happen where the client's like, hey, we really need help, and I go, at this point now, it makes sense to do it because you already tried everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Last thing would be people always ask, when does the collar go away? In my book, when you need it, it doesn't. So it means if you're going to be at the campground, you're going to need it.
Yep.
How is he with people coming over?
Depends on who it is.
Okay. So like
If
that.
it's somebody
He
he
knows,
knows,
yeah. He's
he's
at the door wagging his tail.
wanting to jump all over you, it's kind of hard.
Get him to.
If it's somebody he doesn't know walks in the front door, he will growl, snap, lunge,
Okay.
try to bite.
That we can cover too. You guys are in the city?
Evergreen
Evergreen
Park,
Park.
South Suburbs.
South suburbs. Okay. So we'd have to see. Okay. But that would technically be an in-home
Mm-hmm.
to
I got you, buddy. Hey, you're okay.
So open your leash. So you don't want to talk to him. The reason why you don't want to talk to him is I know what you're trying to do, right? But you're stimulating the brain. You've also softened your energy.
Okay.
Hey, buddy, he's okay,
Yeah.
right? As opposed to, so what he needs is actually assertive leadership
I
energy,
gotcha.
right?
Yep.
So like right now, like you saw me go in and like I was gonna do a body block in case they got too close, right? So that's like me asserting myself, letting him know like
I
I'm
got
actually
you.
the one that's gonna take care of
I
this.
got you. Yep.
Yeah, and that stuff I cover too. Owning a dog like this, like it's a lot of different pieces. Some of it is training the dog, some of it is training the human, some of it's just knowing what to do when shit goes south. You know, all these things, because I've seen it all in 15 years.
I'd imagine.
So so just think of it as like, oh, having a guest come over and he doesn't know who it is, right? We would have the tool on, okay, and then that would be a situation where it's like we would have to learn how to invite the person in correctly, and then secondly, a muzzle when we want to start socializing. So it's realistic to expect that your dog can warm up to people he would see regularly.
Yep.
Okay. The people he would see infrequently or randomly or at one-off times.
Come on.
At one-off times.
You're right. Sit.
Not realistic. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
A repairman or somebody coming by.
Exactly. So that's where I might go, just kennel the dog, make your life easier. The repairman also is not going to be like, I'm here to train your dog, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, again, it's just common sense stuff. There's certain things that go, yes, use it to your advantage, and there's other things that go, it's really not going to benefit you, and it's not.
But it'd be nice to be able to have the repairman walk in the front door and not have to crate him, have him go in cycle, have his stress level up. That's kind of what we're working towards also.
Yes.
It's just to
I
have
try to
him
push as much as possible, but just know that we're not going to get everything. Okay,
Yep.
we'll make a ton of progress for sure, but there's going to be certain stuff I go, that's just what it's going to be.
Gotta have goals.
Yeah. Anything else?
I think that's it.
So if you have any
you
questions
think
you
of?
forgot to ask,
No, I don't think so.
if you have any questions you may have forgotten to ask, you can always email Tina,
Okay.
and then if they pertain to me, she'll email me, she'll follow up with you.
Okay.
Otherwise, she handles all the bookings and stuff. My wife and I are expecting our first child.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's exciting.
So if you do end up moving forward and then getting on sooner rather than later, just know that there might be a week where things get a little hectic.
Okay, yeah,
because,
understandable.
He's due the 26th or 27th of July.
Oh, wow.
So pretty soon.
Soon, yeah.
Yeah. So we've been just letting people know that there might be, whenever he comes.
Scheduling might get goofy for a little bit.
Exactly. But we'll get you right back on once
Yep, no
everything's
problem.
settled in. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you think we should do 12 for him or 9?
9's a nice buffer. It's like right in the middle. If you're wanting off leash, then 12
for sure.
regardless.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. It's just we just may not get all 6 commands to off leash because of the behavioral stuff, but you're still going to be able to have the ability to have off leash because recall is really the biggest factor there, right? When you can call your dog off of anything, that's what gives you off leash reliability. But the other stuff is also technically the methods that I use are off leash methods. It's just a matter of, is the owner going to put in the time and repetition to get to that level? Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I get some clients that they do the training, they're like, holy shit, like I didn't think it was gonna be that easy, right? And then they're like, do you think I could get off leash? I'm like, yeah, we've technically been doing it since class 1, right? So I'm using an off leash tool. And I go, all we gotta do is the steps now. And then even like a client that does a 6-week program, if the dog is just, I want training, it's super simple. By the 6th class, I can usually give them the beginning steps of the off leash stuff. And I'll tell them, if you rinse and repeat this for 3 months, you'll get it. You just don't have me there as a guide anymore.
Right.
Like it's very intuitive because you're the one that's doing everything. You're the one that sees the progress. You're the one that has the confidence of like, oh, this works.
Right.
And now I can take my dog off leash. Okay. I'm just kind of there as to help guide you along. But I get a lot of clients that do shorter programs and they're not aware of how much they can get in a short period of time. So then when they end up wanting more, I go, yeah, no big deal because we've been doing it since day 1, technically speaking. So.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. Your case is just different because of the behavior. Okay. All right, guys.